Yo guys, what's going on, man? It's Jake here, rocking out. How you guys doing? Um, I have a book here. Can you read that? It's called The Memoirs of Billy Shears. Okay? Take a look at that. By Thomas E. U. Harriet. That's the author, okay? This guy, E.U. Harriet, doesn't exist. You can go on Google, you can look him up, you can go on any search engine, search the web far and wide, and this man does not exist. This publishing company does not exist. Okay? Um this book highlights the 1966 crash of Paul McCartney, right? And this book illustrates everything. And where this man would get this kind of information from, fiction or not, is beyond me because I've read the book and let me tell you, there's stuff in here that the best Hollywood writers couldn't come up with unless you live this. Okay? You've had to live this to write this. Okay? So I just typed into Google right here, Billy Shears. Just the word Billy Shears, the name Billy Shears. The first thing that pops up is, according to the theory, McCartney died in a car crash, and to spare the public from grief, the surviving Beatles replaced him with the winner of a McCartney look-alike contest, sometimes identified as William Campbell or Billy Shears. Okay? If you listen to Sergeant Pepper's, the beginning of the song, I think it's the end of the song where they say, Billy Shears. Okay? And then it goes in a little help from your friends, right? Okay, why Billy Shears? Who is Billy Shears? Why that name? Why? Right? If this never happened, if Paul McCartney did not die in a car crash in 1966, why Billy Shears? Who's Billy Shears? What's this Billy Shears all about? Right? Who's this made up guy, Billy Shears? Why would they put this guy's name in their music? Does anybody ever think of this stuff? All right. So here's the book. It's very limited. I don't even know if you can buy it anymore. When I bought it, it was very scarce. I had to do some digging to find it. It's in pretty good condition. It's like a 9 out of 10. It's almost mint condition still. And I wanted to read like a chapter, just one chapter, not the whole chapter, just to give you an idea of what the guy's talking about. And maybe we'll start on the preface. And let's just go through the book, right? First page, The Memoirs of Billy Shears. Okay, Thomas E.U. Harriet. The guy doesn't exist. Encoder for the protagonist, Billy Shears, right? Encoder for the protagonist, Billy Shears. Okay? Come on, guys. I'm not a tin hat guy, but I think there's something to this because if you think about it, the Beatles' musical evolution from the early 60s and on, right? From everything from Revolver, like the Love Me Do, the very poppy stuff, the I Want to Hold Your Hand, Help, and all that stuff. It was like what, three, four chord songs and a nice poppy change and nice poppy tunes and riffs and melodies, right? And then a year later, 2 years later, they're playing orchestral arrangements. They're arranging, complicated, sophisticated orchestral parts. They're putting, very sophisticated arrangements throughout their music. Classical piano parts, classical, I know George Martin is considered the fifth Beatle, right? That's no shit. That's the fucking truth. George Martin was the fifth Beatle. If anything, he was the Beatles. He wrote all their stuff, all their good stuff. All right, say Ringo Starr, he couldn't write a song, and the thing was, back then in the studio, every guy in the band was allotted a certain amount of songs to write for the next album, right? George or whoever in the studio would hand out a sheet to all the guys. Okay, John, you need to finish 3 songs. Paul 3, Ringo 3, and George 3, right? And they all had to write 3 songs each. And Ringo struggled with that. George struggled with it too. They kind of all struggled with it, but Ringo probably the most. And Ringo would take one chord. He would start off with one chord in a song, right? And he would take that chord to George Martin. And George Martin would take that one chord and arrange an entire song out of that chord and practically write the entire song for Ringo. He wrote Octopus's Garden. He put together so many songs. He arranged so many tunes for the Beatles. It's unbelievable. That's why he's the fifth Beatle. Okay? George Martin is such a force within the Beatles. It's unbelievable. People don't realize that. And yeah, he was a huge part of their sound, engineering, everything. So there's a chapter in the book called Masonic Checkmate. That's the chapter I kind of want to focus on right now. And there's also some really weird graphic art on the back. It looks like hands. Like, to me, it looks like there's people like in hell maybe or something like that, or like hands trying to reach out of hell up to like heaven or something, or some kind of angels up there, and then there people in hell are trying to reach up to them. It's a really weird art on the back of this book here, but you can make of that what you will. But the Memoirs of Billy Shears. Let's start with the preface real quick. And then I thought this was kind of funny too, right? Right here in the beginning, it says, a most special thanks to Sir J. Paul McCartney for providing such fantastic material. Thomas E. U. Harriet. www.billyshears.com. I don't even know if that website exists. I think it's all bullshit. I tried it last time. I tried it was like a year ago. It wasn't exist. It didn't exist. It was 404 or something. It might work now. It might be up and running. I haven't checked in a while. So if you guys want to check, let me know if it still works. Let me know what's on there. Whatever. I mean, there's even a website. So, all right, the preface. Let's read the preface real quick. Imagine obscure lyrics from hundreds of songs that you grew up with and sang along with, becoming meaningful to you as you read this book. Imagine lines of songs that had been dead to you coming alive as what had been gibberish is transformed into something solemnly poignant or hilarious. Okay, that's the first paragraph. Imagine getting the joke and laughing out loud after decades of singing along without a clue that the joke existed. Imagine finally being invited into the hearts, minds, and souls of John, Paul's with a plural. There's an S at Paul. There's an S at the end of Paul, so that's kind of weird. It says John and then Paul's, right? George and Ringo, with new awareness of their deep sorrows, frustrations, challenges, and bittersweet success. Everything changed as William Shepard, Billy Shears, went from Billy Pepper of Billy Pepper and the Pepper Pots to Sgt. Pepper of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. You will learn when, why, and how Billy took over the creative control of the Beatles, and why, on the back of Sgt. Pepper's album, it shows Billy's back, not Paul's. He is facing the band as its new conductor. Okay? Let me read that again. The Beatles, and why on the back of Sgt. Pepper's album it shows Billy's back, not Paul's. He is facing the band as its new conductor. He is facing the band as its new conductor. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Even if this is bullshit, even if this is fucking even if this is all lies, why would you write something like this? Why would you, if I was Paul McCartney and I knew a guy was out there writing fiction like this about me, I would have that ended immediately. So what does that tell you, guys? What does that tell you, guys? I mean, if Paul McCartney, if this is true, you know, of course, Sir Paul McCartney knows people are out there writing bullshit about him. If this is actual bullshit, you think Sir Paul McCartney would stop this from happening, stop people writing lies about the guy, right? Think about that. That's another thing to think about. It's all very weird. It's all very weird. All right, let's just keep going with the preface here. So he's the new conductor of the band, right? That's what he's just said. His back's turned toward the band. He's the new conductor, okay? That's what he's saying. That's why his back's turned to the band. He's not facing forward like the rest of them. We are shown that Billy Shears is the new band leader. Giving John's band to Paul's replacement tormented them all. Billy's back, Beatles Enlightenment, and the talent contest are each collections sorted for individual interests from the unique book that set world records, The Memory of Billy Shears. Okay, that's just the preface, ladies and gentlemen. That's the fucking preface. Okay? Wait till you start digging into this lovely bit of gold here. I mean, this is, talk about a good read, guys. You like the Beatles? You like music history? I'm trying to do a full review, but I can't do a full review on a book like this because there's so much content. There's so much stuff to talk about. It's unbelievable. I mean, it all depends on which way you go. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? Right? And that's what I'm talking about here. What do you guys believe? Do you guys believe it's all bullshit? Do you guys believe it's made up? And what's the purpose of it being made up? Why would somebody make this up? Is it all for money? Is it all for pranks? Is it all a big hoax? I mean, you can go online and find some very suspicious clips of Sir Paul McCartney, you know, making some very suspect accusations, especially on the Letterman show, talking about walking across the street in bare feet on a scorching hot day, right? That's pretty weird. No normal human being is going to kick their shoes off and walk across the scorching hot tar road barefoot. We all know how hot that tar is in the summertime. You know, when I was a kid at the pool, you know, I would run home on the tar. That tar is so hot. You can't walk on that. You can't stand on that. That's like 200 degrees almost, that tar. It gets pounded by the sun. It's unbelievably hot. That right there is such bullshit. He kicked his sandals off to walk across the street barefoot because it was so hot out. That was his excuse on the David Letterman show. Okay? And then he says something to the effect of I'm him or something. I am the double. You got to watch the video. You got to watch the clip. It's out there somewheres. Maybe I'll put it in the description if I can find it. I'll put it in the description if I can find it. So, I don't want this video to get crazy long, but the Memoirs of Billy Shears, okay? There's one more chapter I wanted to talk about. It's called Masonic Checkmate. I mean, it's like it's chapter 11, right? I'm just skipping ahead a bunch, but Masonic Checkmate, okay? What does that mean? What does that mean? Masonic Checkmate. So you're talking about the Masons are involved now? What is this? Is the Illuminati involved? What is this? Is the Illuminati real? Is this guy trying to tell us that the Illuminati's real? The Illuminati is real now? That the Masons are behind all this? This book gets deep, guys. It gets really heady. It gets really esoteric. I'm just saying. I'm not going to read the whole book. Watch the video. I'll read a little bit of it for you. But, I mean, I'm telling you, this is such a great... I mean, fiction or not, it's unbelievable. So I'm going to read the first chapter real quick. Masonic Checkmate. In through the looking glass, Alice goes through Alice goes through the changes and becomes a queen. I told Mike, Paul's brother, that I am as Queen Alice in becoming Paul. Later, Mike gave me several small Alice in Wonderland figures for my backyard as a housewarming gift as I settled into Paul's house. That's weird, right? Settled into Paul's house. And throughout the whole book, you see how some letters are darker and emboldened than the rest? It's all code. All these words, all the darker letters spells out a code, a different code. He's trying to tell you something through code. I haven't put all the words together yet, so I don't know what any of it means. I haven't sat down long enough, and I haven't deciphered all of the codes and all the words and all that stuff yet. So all these big letters in here, it all means something, guys. It all means something. It's some kind of code he's trying to tell us. So, and let's keep going. I settled into Paul's house. That inspired me to redo Paul's garden, putting in a tarot zigzag path with the statues at the nodes. Statue at the nodes? What the fuck's a node? Anyways, we pinched ideas from many sources and incorporated them into our lyrics and artwork. But we were especially enamored with Lewis Carroll. His Through the Looking Glass and Alice in Wonderland imagery was used extensively. If you are familiar with those works, you can see how they brought us to an awareness of tarot and chess. You may recall the talking cards and chess pieces, right? In turn, those images, each rich in their own symbolism, turned us onto other symbols found in literature from around the world. Okay? Forgive me if I'm reading slow. I'm reading slow because I want you to hear it. I want you to hear the words and all that. So, he's pretty much saying they were turned on to tarot and esoteric stuff and chess, and I don't know how esoteric chess is, but I guess it can be in some form or fashion. You may recall the talking cards and chess pieces. In turn, those images, each rich in their own symbolism, turned us on to other symbols found in literature from around the world. Okay, so it turned them onto other ancient things because they probably saw these symbols in books and artworks and stuff like that, and they started to investigate a little bit on the symbols and realized that these symbols were being used throughout ancient world, ancient times, and they probably figured that ancient man was using them for some reason, that there's probably some kind of power or something to it. So not power might not be the right word, but there's something to these symbols, right? Something to these symbols. So That's the first page, and then it goes on and on. You have some art in here, which is pretty crazy. Um, it just says, whenever possible, we combine the symbols, looking for symbolism in the drawing that John drew in 1967. See how the images all work together. You can see the tarot, heart, spade, diamond, and club, each assigned to a different band member, as set into the biblical four-headed beast. Wow. That's heavy, guys. Let me read that again real quick, all right? I don't want this video to get really long, but this is an interesting video, guys. You're going to have to watch this to the very end. Whenever possible, we combined the symbols, looking for symbolism in this drawing that John drew in 1967. It's right here. I'm about to show you the drawing in a second, okay? So John drew this drawing in 1967, and they're trying to figure out what it all means. So see how the images all work together. You can see the tarot, heart, spade, diamond, and club, each assigned to a different band member, as set into the biblical four-headed beast, with each head saying something about the beetle. Here's the artwork. See that, guys? Look at that. That's pretty creepy, guys. If you ask me, that's pretty creepy. I don't know what that says at the bottom. What does that say? Joker or something? And then what instrument are they playing? They're playing a bass. That's a bass guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4 strings. That's a big bass. Look at that. Look at that art. Look at that artwork. And then look at the correlating numbers at the top, or symbols. Very weird, very odd. It's very esoteric. I mean, these guys were into some very deep stuff, guys. Very deep stuff. It goes on and on and on, what everything means. Like I said, the videos, but unbelievable stuff. Very interesting stuff. The Memoirs of Billy Shears. This is a semi-review. It's basically a discussion on the book and the topic as a whole. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you hang out till the very end. I really do. And if you can get a copy of the book, if you're that interested, look around and try to find it. You can probably find it on Amazon, maybe. I don't know. I know when I was looking for it, it was kind of tough. It took me a little while to find it, and that was a few years ago. That was like 2 years ago. So I'm sure they're still out there. But the book's amazing. If you want me to make another video on the book, just let me know. I will, and we'll go more in depth in the book, because a lot of people on YouTube talk about this situation, and they talk about the book, but they don't actually have the book. They never actually read the book. So I have the book. I've read the book. It's right here. I can give you a very intuitive, in-depth review of the book if you guys want. The video is getting a little long. So that being said, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for sitting through this whole fucking video. I know it got rambly, and some parts maybe a little boring, but I love this stuff, man. I think it's fascinating. It's very interesting. Think about it. If they could pull something like this over all of us, man, oh my God. But anyways, thank you guys for sitting this whole time, 20 minutes. I appreciate it. And you guys are great. Thank you for sitting around, rocking out with Jake. I appreciate it. Jazzy Jake here, and I'm signing off, signing out. Have a great rest of the day, guys.